Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Fiona. This is Elio Moon Arts. Just make an apology. I didn't get a video out last month. I was incredibly busy doing some stuff, getting ready for a market for Christmas. So that's my reason, and I have been a little bit unwell. But other than that, I'm doing okay at the moment. So we're back into it again. So today, Couture Creations video will be about, we're going to do this little guy. So I'll just put that on, I'm just going to put it onto a backing so you can see what it is. Now you can change this any way you like, but I'm going to show you an easy way using transparent Yupo to create a design if you see something you like, and you can change it up to do it however you would like to do it by incorporating a few other bits and pieces. So I'm going to put this aside, I'm going to grab myself some Yupo and we'll get started. I'll just turn this camera down. Make sure we've got it in the right spot. Okay, hopefully that will be good. Okay, so I've got a piece of transparent Yupo. This was an A4 size piece, and I've cut it down to 9.5 by 14 centimetres. Now the other thing I'm going to use is an old birthday card. So this was an old birthday card. I think it was one for me. Yep. No, it was for my daughter actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use elements from this to put onto my card. So I've got to decide on which elements I like the most. I want the birds to be more focal, but I want to have some of these flowers in here too. So I'm thinking that these ones here might be good. So I've got a selection of Couture Creations alcohol ink markers. So I'll go through them. So this one is pale pink light, which is 196. I've got crepe myrtle 921. I'll just go through all the pinks first. A magenta 234. Tender purple 236. What are the purple kind of ones that I've got here? Yep, those ones. So that's a red. Then I've also got plum red 216. I've got Pacific grey 7528. Warm grey, which is WG1. What else have I got? Okay, I've also got a colourless blender, which we will use quite a bit of. Let's go for some blues now that I'm going to do. So I've got pale blue 9482, light pale blue 185. I'm missing a blue, I think. Hang on a moment, I'll just see if I can find that other blue that I need. Oh, yeah, here it is. And I've got powder blue 9421. We'll do this, we've got a red 193. Now we'll do some greens. So I have leaf white, it says on here, 9544. Olive green 377. White lotus leaf 7493. Light minty green 358. Dark green 335. Dark olive 371. And yellow green 618. So they're the colours that I've got. I may have to dip into a different brand of alcohol ink markers if I don't have the right colour for some of this, but we'll work with these as much as we can. So what I'm liking is I would like these flowers here on the bottom to be on my piece. So what I'm going to do, I don't really have an orange, but essentially a brown, where is that one? Is that the right one? I think it was this yellow green that I may have used. I'm just going to double check that on a piece. No, that's not the right one. I am missing one more colour here. Hold on a moment. There it is. Okay, the other one I had was Storm Beige. and that's what I'm going to do this orangey coloured flower with. So I'm going to initially take the bullet tip. So you've got two tips, you've got a bullet tip and a brush tip. And I'm going to press down like so, and I'm just going to trace out just that centre of the flower there in that colour. Put that away, and now I'm going to grab, oops, just make sure you keep it lined up, don't move it like I just did. Okay, so now I'm going to bring that's one petal, and I'm just going to trace the outlines of these petals and bring in some colour into it. Okay, now I'm going to go do this one. Just brush that colour in because we're coming down into the corner. They're a little, that one's sort of sitting underneath that blue one there, and then we've got one here, petal here. So basically we now have that flower down. Now I'm going to grab, what am I going to grab? Powdered blue 9421 is the one I'm going to grab this time, and this time we're going to go, just going to trace out that centre. Actually, I might have to grab a different one and see if I've got a darker blue. I don't think that blue's going to work too well with this one. Hang on 2 seconds. This was just a cheap set of alcohol ink markers that I bought a long time ago. Yeah, that might work better. So I've got, these are a Kaiser Crafts brand. It's got a broad tip and a fine tip, and it's called Royal Blue 70. So that's what we're going to use. So I'm just going to grab the fine tip, hold onto our piece, and we're just going to mark out that centre. You don't have to be too particular with it. Just going to pop that back on. Now we're going to go to our broad tip, and same as what we did before, we're going to create our flowers. And remember, the more you go over these with your alcohol ink marker, the more ink you're actually laying down. So we're going to do another one here. Comes out there a bit. I do prefer the Couture Creations ones because they have that brush tip, and I prefer to work with it than these broad tips. Okay, so there's our blue flower. Now I would also like to add in this bit of foliage here and this little bit of foliage here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this same blue in the fine tip, and we're going to start with this one here, and we're just going to pull out some of these fronds from our piece of palm or whatever it might be. I'm just going to pull these all out. Some coming up this way, some coming up this way. Like I said, you'll probably have a different image to me. Like I said, this was just an old birthday card that my daughter didn't want anymore, so I decided that I would use this for today's demonstration. So I've added this blue in. Now I've added the blue underneath this because I want to use a lighter green over the top and get some deeper blue, green blue shades. So I'm going to use Leaf White, it's called, and I'm going to use the brush tip. And I'm just going to come in over the top of that. And I'll have to wipe my brush tip off as I go, so as it'll also pick up some of that blue colour. Do some over this side. Okay, so that's sort of muted that blue down a little bit. Let's go for a slightly brighter green. So this one is light minty green, 358. We're going to go with our brush nib again, and we're just going to come in and put some of this in over the top of some of it. You don't have to make it exactly the same as what's underneath. It's really just there as a guide. And add a bit of this darker green through this centre where it comes down off the stem. And just do some smaller bits in some of the spaces too, just to fill it out a little bit. Like this one here. Okay. So now I've got that done. I'm just needing that to dry a little bit. I would like to also add this bit here. I think I like it like that with this red flower. So what I'm going to, actually I might use magenta for this. So I'm going to grab my brush nib and bring some of this magenta down in here, and I'm just going to do the petals on this flower. So that one's actually coming in behind there. There's another one there. This one's coming in underneath that from the thing. And then we're going to bring this up here, just creating that same shape, and we're changing up all the colours that are in this. Another one here. I'll bring this one out a little further because we've got a little bit more space on this one than what it had in that one. Bring that right up to the edge of the there. Okay, so there we go. We've got that flower in there as well. Now we notice there's a bit of lightness in the center of that one, but we'll fix that up a bit later on. Now I would also like this bit of open foliage that they've got at the bottom here. So I think I'm going to go with, no, not that one. I'm just going to go in with the olive green, which is 377. And once again, I'm going to use my, no, this time I'm going to use my bullet tip. So we're going to have a piece that's going to come up over that one. This one's a bit thicker, it comes down a bit thinner. Now by all means, you can colour this in if you want, or you can leave it open like I'm going to. And maybe we'll do a different version of it as well. Okay. Just thickening up this line here. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that at the moment. Okay, so here is part of our piece that we've done, and we're changing it. We're making it a little different to this one, but we are doing some similarities. So I know that this is where my bird sits, but I know I don't want him. Maybe. So I'm just going to take this off here for a minute. I just want to fix this up. So I'm going to grab a bit of that blue and our fine tip on this one and bring some of these fronds and I'm going to use some of the darker green, which is 335. I'll use that in this centerpiece here. Just give some other, come over the top of those other fronds that are there. And then we'll go in with our, wasn't that one, was it? I don't think so. Our white leaf, we might bring this one in, and we'll just bring some of that over our blue, just to lighten it up a bit. And this will actually give our thing a bit of depth. What do we got? I've got this olive green. Just might put a little bit of this in here. That gives it a little bit of brightness as well. Okay. Okay, so that's given us a, let's pop it on the back of there, a little bit more to work with. I think I'm not really happy with some of this here, so what I might grab is my blending colourless blender. Just make sure I haven't got any colour on it. So there's no colour on this, and I'm just going to blend out some of this blue. I might need to go with my brush tip, and I'm just, as I'm putting this on, I'm picking up some of the ink and I'm wiping it off on my mat. Might just do it on this cloth actually. So I've just got one of these microfiber cloths and I'm just wiping off the excess ink. So I'm not really happy about that bit there. So I'm just going to lift some of that out and lighten it up quite considerably. Same with this one, I'm just going to lighten it up. So it's those darker blue areas that I'm trying to lighten up a bit. I could go over it with more of my alcoholic markers, which would help to lighten it. I could use a brush and do it that way too, but today I'm trying to focus on just using the markers. Okay, let's leave that one like that. Now out of this, I want to be able to put one of these birds in, and I'm not quite sure which one I want to put in. I think this one. Or do I like this one? This one might work a little better. And then what am I going to put up in this corner? So maybe I'll do another one of these up in this corner, and we'll go with that magenta again. So magenta 234. I'm having lots of trouble today with that. Okay, so let's go in and mark this one out. And do this one on the edge. This was a nice big leaf. Or petal, I should say. Okay. That beautiful magenta colour. Okay, and then we're going to go in with our olive green again, which is 377, with our brush nib, and we're just going to, I'm going to make this a solid, not Okay, so there is most of our piece done. Now all we've got to do is put our bird in. Okay, it's this way. Let's go this way. And I'm just going to move it up a little bit. I'm not going to put all of the bird in. I'm just going to move it across. Okay, so here we go. So now I've got to decide on what colours I want for my bird. So I know for sure that I want pale blue. And what I'm going to do with the pale blue is I'm going to make that his chest colour. Whether these other blues are a bit darker. So we've got light blue. If that's any lot darker. Nope. Okay, let me just check my blues that I've got. Pale blue. Not much darker either. Okay, let's put this back up here in the same spot. Okay, let's go in with this blue. So we're probably going to have to do this a few times with the blue to get enough saturation of colour. What is that that's coming off there? So I could have grabbed my Couture Creations alcohol inks out and I could have had a bigger range of colours that I could have worked from. But I wanted to highlight these markers first today because they're actually really quite good to work with. Okay, so there's our inner piece, the chest and the fur. Now I need two different kinds of pink. So I'm thinking I'm going to go for, I've got something that's called Pacific Grey and a purple red. So I think I just want to have a look at these colours side by side. So that one's quite dark. Just wondering whether this one will be too dark to go with it. Yep, so I'm going to use the Pacific Red and I'm going to use our warm grey. Yeah, that's better. So let's decide on what we're going to do. Are we going to have darker feathers or light or dark body? Okay, I think we're going to go with the darker body. Oh, this one. So our body is this piece here. Let's do that. And now I want to get my blender. Make sure I've got no blue on that. Yep. Okay, let's move that back over into here for a minute. Just going to blend. I just want to lighten the colour up here a little bit with my blender. So you can see I'm just wiping it on and bringing some of that up into that blue just to try and get it a better transition. And I think I like it with that bit of blending out that colour a little more. Still leaves the body dark, but just not quite as dark as it was. So I'm just making sure I try and get as much of that colour off my blender. And each time I do a pass over this, the blender is picking up more and more ink. So I'm going to leave it as that now, but I do want to grab our blue. This was pale blue. Just want to know I've missed a little piece in there. And I'm just wanting to add a little bit more blue into this. And I want to bring that blue down into that purple, wipe it off. And bring that blue down into that purple. Now I'm only just lightly touching it. And it's sort of feathering the blue and the reddy colour together. Can't remember what red it was. Purple red, was it? Yep, purple red. Just so that you get a nice blended look. And essentially we're creating a new colour by blending them together as well, so it gives it a different look. Just want to take a little bit of this blue and take it all the way down to the bottom and blend that purple red into it again there as well. And I'm just lightly feathering it over that purple red. And as you can see, it's sort of lightening up that colour as we go. Okay. Okay, my blue's back to normal again. Now, let's do this one is warm grey, and we want our brush tip again. So for the head, it's going to be this warm grey colour. Now we're not going to see a lot of this on the overhead, but wait until I pull it off and we'll put it over something else. And I'm just feathering that warm grey down into that red purple. And then on this side as well, we're just going to feather that in. And I'm just going to go over it again, just to make sure I've got enough ink on there. And I'm just doing the head and the back of the head and the wings in this light grey. We may need to go with the other grey, so we'll have a look. So I'm just going to lift this up and we'll have a look. So I've just got this blue card base. It's still a bit wet. I'll pop it on there. I don't think that grey is quite dark enough for the colours that we've used, which is fine. Just going to bring this back up into here. And that other grey that I thought was too dark, the Pacific grey. I'm going to grab our brush tip. No, that's our nib tip. Our bullet tip. I'm just going to come in and just put some of this grey. Yep, I think that's a much better grey for this. So I'm going back to our brush tip and I'm just going to start putting this in. So some of the things that you need to look at while you're doing this is how far does each colour bleed into the next colour. So these ones haven't bled too much, so I haven't been too worried about it. And it depends on the type of paper you're using also. So that's, you need to keep those things in mind when you're working with any sort of alcohol inks, because they do bleed into each other. They're mobile, they move all the time. So this one, with the markers, it doesn't move as much as, say, if I was using the actual inks themselves. This is a little bit, you can control this a little bit more. So I'm just wanting to smooth out this area along the back, and then we'll blend some of this in. I'm just laying down more ink over the top because I'm wanting that head to really have a real lot of darkness to it. And then we're going to come over onto this side and we're going to bring in our feathers over here. Feathering it down into that purple red again. Just gonna, that's better, give that a bit of a roundness to the top of it. Okay, and I think, what am I going to do with that beak? I might grab, I might grab this dark olive and I'm going to use the bullet tip. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to leave a little bit of space between the head and the top of his beak. And he's got a beautiful olive green beak. He's also got a little bit of space, so that just helps to define the shape of it. I'm also going to use this olive green to give him an eye. So there's his little eye. Now I'm going to come in with my colourless blender. Where did I put it? Here it is. And this part that we've just finished before, I want to just blend them in a little bit. Wrong end. I want my brush nib. Just going to lightly feather in some of this, just to create a little bit of light and shade on him. And just to blend it into our purple red there as well. A little bit. Okay. Just at the back here, I'm just adding some light and dark, to creating some light so that we've got dark and light in there. Okay. Same up here, we're just wanting to add a little bit of light in some of the spots on him. So like right on the top of his head and sort of down this back area a little bit, he needs a little bit of light on him. Okay. So I'm just going to sort of let this dry for a second. Now, I'm not happy with the green for the eye. It's not dark enough for what I would like. So I'm going to grab a micron pen. Maybe not that one. I had one here on my desk before. Okay, let's have a look. This one might work. So I've just got a micron pen here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in over the top with a black micron pen, just to give that eye a bit more darkness, until I'm happy with it. Yep, that's much better. Okay, now I can either go in with my micron pen and pull out some pieces in this, or I can go in with a white pen. So I've got this Signo Uniball white gel pen. These are probably my favourite ones to work with when it comes to working with alcohol inks. The only thing that I will say about them is they do tend to, so just give me a little white spot. They do tend to take on the colour underneath them a little bit. So just wanting to add that little bit of white space there, just to define the beak from the head. I'll just give him a little bit of a breathing hole on his nose. So now we're going to define some of the feathers. So I'm just going to use some little U shapes on him. And then I'm going to just to define these feathers. And I'm leaving it quite sketchy. I'm quite happy to leave it quite sketchy. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and I think that's enough for him at this stage. So if you wanted to copy the happy birthday onto here, you could. So if I was gonna, maybe I won't put happy birthday on it. I might just, what else have I got in this card? No, I don't think there's anything else I'd really like to put in there from the card. So some other accent pieces we can put in here. So let's put this on our blue base so we can have a look. So I would like maybe some spots. Oops, it's still a bit damp. In around the edge of my sunflower, my flower. I'm just going to do some swirly little lines, circular motion inside the centre of this to give it a bit of texture. It doesn't have to cover everything, but I just want that texture in there. I might might want to make some of these a bit bigger, and I might want to go over them a few times until I get them the way that I like them. Okay, and this one we might go in with a black one this time. Just going to do some little black splodges on there, just along the edge of our flowers. And this time I'm going to go in with some squiggly lines in the center, and I still want to see that light coming through there. We can go back and forwards the other way as well. Okay, now I'm going to add some white into this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, like the little stamens that are in it, my pen stopped working, I just have to give it a bit of a, yeah, see how that is taking on that pink colour? That's perfectly okay. Okay, same with this one over here. We need to give it some pieces that are coming out of it. This one too will take on that pink, those pink tones underneath it. And if we get some of these white ones to go up onto the vellum where it's, you'll end up with some nice white ones as well, which will stand out against it. So there's those few flowers we've got on there. I'm thinking that I would like to give this one a bit of a white outline. Same with this one. So let's get some nice white outlines on this. Now, for all intents and purposes, I could write on this with my white pen, and it would show up, and it would look quite nice. I'm not a big fan of writing with a big white pen, so I'm just going to grab, this one's a 005 micron pen, and I am going to put happy birthday in. So I'm going to start off. Now you can copy exactly what's on the other one if that's what you would like, if you'd like yours like that. I'm going to do mine a little differently. So we're going to have happy. I need to make that a little darker and wider to go over that one. And I'll just go over these a few times to make sure I've got them nice and filled in. So happy, and then we're going to put birthday down here. Okay, so this is essentially our birthday card done. As you can see, you could take an image from anything and use translucent Yupo to copy a design off. You might have a multitude of pictures that you might like. You might have a photo that you like. You could probably even do, if you've got a heap of skin tone coloured markers, or even if you make your own colours up, you could use skin tones and you could actually do a portrait in this kind of style. But I just wanted to show you something a little bit different with markers. And for those of you who feel like you can't draw or don't have very good drawing skills, I wanted to also offer you a way that you could do something like this, and it makes it easier for you. Now I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that this is a little too dark for me, so I'm going to grab my white gel pen again, and I'm just going to come in and just put a few white pieces over the top. These will also blend with the colour that's already in there, but they'll just make some highlights in it, which I think is what it could really do with at the moment. It's a little too dark. Okay, that's better. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me. I would also at this stage like to thank all of the new subscribers that have just recently subscribed to my channel. I really do appreciate those of you who have subscribed, and I hope you really enjoy having a go at something like this. You could actually print off free images, stock images from iStock, I think it's called. You could use images from Pixel. You could do images from whatever the reference photo things are that you have. Maybe you've got just some images and you want to use a mixture of different images from different things that you already have. You can mix and match all those images to create something that you really like. Today I've only used one card, but I have changed the whole look of the card by just using elements out of it. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope to see you in my next video, which should be very soon. And have a great day. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you soon.